Mr. Wonka and the Indian Prince, Part 2. There was one strange thing about Mr. Wonka chocolate factory. There were no workers going into that palace or coming out. The gates were always closed, but before thousands of people had worked in Mr. Willy Wonka factory. Then one day, all of a sudden, Mr. Wonka had to ask every single one of them to leave, to go home, never to come back. He did it because of spies. All the other chocolate makers wanted to know Mr. Wonka's secrets. They sent spies to his factory. The spies took jobs in the Wonka factory, and while they were in there, each one of them found out exactly how a certain special thing was made, and then they went back to their own factories and told their bosses all the secrets. Soon after that, different factories started making ice cream that would never melt, even in the hottest sun, and so on and so on, and Mr. Wonka tore his bed and shouted, "This is terrible! I desist. I shall be ruined. There are spies everywhere. I shall have to close the factory." And he did it. He told all the workers that he was sorry, but they would have to go home. Then he shut the main gates, and suddenly Wonka's chocolate factory became silent. The chemist stopped working. From then on, not a single chocolate or sweet was made. Nobody went in or out. Nobody could see Mr. Wonka either. Months and months went by, but still the factory remained closed, and everybody said, "Poor Mr. Wonka, he was so nice, and he made such unusual things. But he is finished now. It's all over." Then something strange happened. One day, early in the morning, thin columns of white smoke were seen to be coming out of the tall chimneys of the factory. People in the town stopped and stared. "What's going on?" they cried. "Hurrah! The crisis is over. The factory has begun working. Mr. Wonka must be opening up again." They ran to the gates, expecting to see them wide open and Mr. Wonka standing there to welcome his workers back. But no, the great gates were still locked as ever, and Mr. Wonka was nowhere to be seen. "But the factory is working," the people shouted. "Listen! You can hear the machines. They are working again, and you can smell the smell of melting chocolate in the air. The place is full of workers, but nobody's gone in it. The gates are locked. It's crazy. Nobody ever comes out either." Since that time, the factory has been running for these 10 years. What is more, the chocolates and sweets have become more fantastic and delicious, but nobody knows even now who Mr. Wonka is using to do all the work in the factory. That is one of the great mysteries of the chocolate-making world. We know only one thing about them. They are very small. Sometimes, through the glass windows of the factory, people can see small dark shadows moving about. These faint shadows are those of tiny people no taller than a man's knee. Nobody sees Mr. Wonka anymore. He never comes out. The only things that come out of that place are chocolates and sweets.